So good to be here. Great way to be back. I was in Dallas last week for about 10 days. We had a fantastic solar training event. Some of what I'm going to share with you tonight or today is part of that training. And the slide that you're going to look at is what we call supercharging our sales. And you know, what does that mean? Really, it's the more work that you do on the front end, that's going to result in a better overall experience for your homeowner. It sets you up for success. You see a lot of what people do in achieving that, and it really avoids costly chargebacks, frustrations, things that you're going to be able to really read through the lines of what we're talking about today. And then when Paul gets up, he's going to get into a very important topic that will tie all this together. And really, the goal is for you to become the trusted advisor. And that's actually a pretty easy task when you look at it. And if you go through this training today, this is going to give you the ability to jumpstart or restart your solar career with the Powur platform. You'll really be able to improve the world with what we do, but it starts with you mastering your game and setting yourself up for success. So let's talk about mindset. I heard a few things, or I saw a few things in the chat there about mindset. This is it. You can't sell anything, unless you genuinely feel that you want to encourage family members, friends, your spouse, anybody you meet to use that product or service. In this case, obviously solar. And you can't persuade them unless you genuinely believe it, because doubt and conviction, they can't exist at the same time. You got to be on one pathway or on the other. So as you do that, as you get confident and you believe in what we do, then you will successfully be able to educate and enroll. When we get into this process, I never talk about closing tactics or how to ask for the order. The simplest close after you educate is just scroll up and say, what do you think? And that's because you've earned their trust, you've gained their confidence. And that really starts with mindset. If you look at your mindset, each day, and it was great seeing what people are doing for themselves. Prepare for this particular conversation, right? Whether it's a discovery call or whether it's just to set an appointment for a solar savings presentation, mindset is really, really important to get into. And being in a good headspace is really critical for you to be able to develop the rapport with a homeowner. So you've got to believe that this is going to end with a positive income. And a positive income isn't always a sale, right? There's other things that come out of it. You build relationships, you build trust, you build rapport as you go through the process. And I saw a lot of gratitude. An attitude of gratitude goes a long way. I am truly grateful for the life that we've been able to build in Powur. And as Jim mentioned, I make that my first thing every single morning. It's just reflecting and being in gratitude. And in particularly when I go to do a presentation with a homeowner or I'm getting on a solar discovery call, I focus on that attitude of gratitude. And then you just visualize where that conversation is going to go. And if you do that properly, you will achieve success. So mindset is a critical part of the overall process that you need to go through. And then there's things that I believe that you need to review. And first thing, whether you're on a Zoom or whether you are showing up in person, be the first one in the room or be at that door 30 seconds prior to them expecting you to be there. Actually, pull in from the neighborhood 10 to 15 minutes prior. And what I encourage you to do, whether you're on Zoom or whether you're in person, is to look for other homes that have solar. Make a point of that. Make a reference. If you're actually in the neighborhood, you have the distinct ability to actually knock on those doors. So what I would say is get there about 30 minutes prior, survey that neighborhood, know that you're not going to get stuck in traffic. That's a last excuse that you should give a homeowner. And then what I want you to try to look at is consider the cost of the solar design. You don't know that right now because Powur covers that as part of our monthly payment, our monthly license, which is an incredible return. But the average cost is $15 to $25. So when I owned my own solar company, we were paying about $200 just for the software and then $20 to $30 for every proposal design that we created. Start thinking like you're the business owner in that and that you're incurring the cost. And what you want to do is really spend time being able to look at the process, recognizing that there's 130 million single-family homes in the United States. 90 million of those are eligible, but 40 million aren't. So the question is, where do you want to invest your time? You should invest your time in the 90 million. And part of this process is to verify their eligibility. Look at the roof, look at the pitch, look for shade, look for protrusions that might prevent you from having success. And take a look at those homes that are on the screen right now. And some distinct things that I think you should point out. This is what I look at in a neighborhood before I even go in, whether it's from Google Earth Pro, which is my favorite, or whether it's from Google or whether it's in person. Look at the first home that's in front of you. Look at the shade that's coming just from a chimney, just from the chimney. That is something you need to take into consideration in setting expectations. Then you can look at the other homes where they have slight shading. These are things that you can do from software, and they're also things that you can do when you're in person while you're there. So do these things to be ensured to invest your time wisely, to set yourself up for success, because all of these things that we're sharing here, and there's deeper training that we want to get into on this on the back end, but there's also training that you can get from within our incredible resources that we have at Powur.com. So what I'd like to do in talking about setting yourself up for success, I'd like for you to share with each other, and this is going to be our first breakout room. I'll have 2 of those with you during my session. So in this breakout room, what I would really like you to do is share with others, what do you do to get yourself in the right mindset, and what do you do to set yourself up for success? So let's go ahead and fire up that first breakout, and I'll be back to hear what some of you had to say and put some of those great ideas out there for each of us. So if we can, let's go to breakouts. All right, welcome back, welcome back. We'll give it a minute for everyone to get into the breakout rooms. And I'll say this a few times, what I'd love to see is some of the things, what are the takeaways that you had in that, whether it's mindset or whether it's setting yourself up for success. Share some of those in the comments here, and I know people are just starting to come back in, so we'll watch carefully on it. Great to see you all coming back. Hopefully you had some great masterminding taking places in those meetings. Share in the chat bar what key takeaways you had from the other people who were inside those breakout rooms. I think David had one up from prior to the things to do in terms of getting in the right mindset. Let's take some of the takeaways from what was in those breakout rooms. Chat those in there. I like that, Leah. Two ears, one mouth. Right on. That's why we have 2 ears, right? To listen more, be an active listener. Proper preparation. Dr. Tim, absolutely, my friend. Proper preparation is the key to your success, there's no question. Hey, Hayes. Quick to listen, ask why. Absolutely, we're going to get into that. Deepening your knowledge and becoming that trusted advisor, Lynn, that's awesome. Block time for management, 30 minutes to be fully present. Yes, yes, yes. Right mindset. Great stuff. Really, really key takeaways. Thank you all for doing that. And Judy, that's one of the keys, a solid discovery call. And I'm going to dive into that a little bit because the things that we're talking about here is what's going to help you break down those barriers. So as we get back into the slide presentation, that's the key, to break through the barriers, that the typical doubt that exists in a homeowner's mind. And the more that you do that on the front end, and as you make the transitions, whether it's a discovery call or whether it's in the presentation, you got to build that foundation each time to become that trusted advisors. And here's one of the things that I do, and I would highly recommend that you look at it from this perspective. And I always got to start the meeting out, whether it's in person or whether it's in Zoom. Again, I work for you. I don't work for a typical solar company. I don't work for a lender. I don't work for a manufacturer. What I have access to through a platform is all of the best financing solutions, the best manufacturing opportunities, the best of the best labor partners. See, we partner with people locally, and we actually are driving the economy on a local basis, not just from our corporate headquarters. What we're all about is empowering communities and building communities. And most solar people don't have that. You know, they basically sell what they're told to sell. They don't have any choice. And I don't have to sell. I don't sell. I educate. And what I will do, I typically add, and I'm not going to be the least expensive. Now, that could be a chuck in the truck, right, coming from Charles. That could be a chuck in the truck. Because they can do that. They don't have any overhead. They don't have any staff. So they can typically come in at a low price, maybe competitive with us. I will absolutely not, but the other thing on that is they may not be here in a week, a month, a year when something goes wrong with your system, if it does. So you want to have that peace of mind. But here's what I'll assure you. I will give you the best overall experience going solar. And when you do that, what I'd encourage you to do is watch the body language. Oftentimes you're going to get this type of thing, or you're going to get somebody just kind of sitting back and kind of giving you that eye. Watch the body language. When you say that with proper tone and inflection, and you say it with sincerity, not scripted, you'll start to see the body language breaking down. That's a key indicator that you're earning their trust. You're building your credibility. The two will coincide. So very, very important. It's on the slide. Thank you for that. Say it again. It's going to be on the slide. And one commitment I'll make to you today, and Irene, I think already knows this, is we're going to get you a PDF of all of these slides that we have. So you'll be able to take some of these, and then you want to make this your own, right? That you can personalize it, because if it sounds scripted, it's not going to work. You're not going to earn that trust. You're not going to build that credibility. The second thing is then you transition. So after you make that introduction about who I am, what I do, I work for you, my goal today is to see if solar is a good fit for you. I'm going to guide you through the evaluation process, answer any questions that you have. The good news is we have a solution for just about everyone. And when we're done, it really should be clear to you whether this is a fit and whether you should move forward or it's not. And if it's not, that's perfectly okay. It's all right. I'm investing my time to help educate you, and what I hope is when the time comes that you go solar, that you come back and talk to me. And if you decide to go forward, then I'm going to help navigate you through that process. Does that sound fair? Does that sound good? And shake your head, and you're going to see the acknowledgement. It's truly a way to get them to start getting into the flow. And then at that point, you say, now that we've discovered that, let's go forward, I'd just like to ask you a few questions to understand your situation better, because I want to find the best solution for you. A lot of companies, like I said, if they only have one panel or one inverter, they just cite what they have. What I'm going to do is I'm going to find the best overall economic way for you to go solar, to make sure that this makes sense. And I'm going to find the right solution for you. And I do that through this discovery process. And the objectives in discovery are really, you want to learn about your customer, and you want to ask probing questions, be genuine, develop that trust. People will not buy from you if they don't trust you and they don't like you. And I assure you, if you have those transition points at the very beginning, they will really start to feel like, all right, this guy or this gal is really doing this for me. And you don't have to sell. At that point, you're just educating. So I covered some really key points there, and that is the framing and how you can move from one section, right? You walk in, you make your introduction, or you get on the Zoom, you make your initial introduction, and then you tell them who you are. You obviously want to build some of your story in there as well, but the most important thing that I have found is that I work for you. I don't work for a lender. I don't work for a manufacturer. I don't even work for a typical solar company. I have access to a platform that gives me all of the best solutions that are out there. And I'm here to know what your needs are, and I'm going to provide you the best solution for you. And anything along those lines gets them typically starting to shake their heads or unfold their arms, etc. So that's the first one. This is my second breakout room. I'm going to come back and I'm going to really recap on some of this. What I'd like now, if you would, we're going to go back in the breakout rooms, and now the goal is, what things do you do to become the trusted advisor? We talked about setting it up for success. We talked about mindset. Now that you've started the presentation, what do you do? What are the key tips to becoming a trusted advisor? And when we return, I'm going to ask you for your tips so that other people can benefit from that. And then I'll share some of the things that I do on the next step that we do. So let's fire it up, get back into breakout rooms, and we'll be back in about 7 minutes. All right. We'll start getting everybody back in here. I'll wave back. Yeah, a couple of comments while people come back in I want to get back to. Gigi, I love that. Creates the right perception, comfort through trust. David, yeah, what I just did, exactly what I do in all the presentations that I do. There's no reason to change it. It absolutely works. Now, I also learn from everybody I mentor and people who are on our team when we go through training sessions, and I'm interested to see what comes up here on this particular section. So let's share what are those things that you do to become the trusted advisor. Go ahead and type them in there. Make a friend, sell some panels. There you go. I love it. Wally, smile. Yep, got to smile. Rapport, have the right questions. Rachel, another master. Intent statement. Eases tension. Absolutely right. Talk about that in a minute. Eric, explain I'm not here to sell, only educate. Absolutely. Break down that fear factor. No surprises. You set the agenda. Frame that meeting. Let them know exactly what to expect. Listen, listen, listen. Know your products well. Know your utilities well. Educate, educate. All great stuff. Absolutely great stuff. Okay, so now one of the really key factors in setting yourself up for success as we get our slides back up is to talk about energy usage. And one of the most common things that I think from newer people is the fear of asking for the bill. So this is something I really want to dive into and also help those who already know how to do that know the real why behind it. So first, you got to know that every home is different, right? You can have two homes side by side, the exact same square footage, but one's using considerably more kilowatt hours than the other. So when somebody asks you, how much is this going to cost? Well, that's a great question. Every home's different. Let's see what's true for your home. And the best way to do that is we're going to look at how many kilowatt hours you use. We're going to look at how much you pay for a kilowatt hour. And I'm going to break that down for you in a moment. And then we're going to look at your roof and see if your home's eligible. Remember, there's 40 million homes that aren't eligible. I don't want to waste your time if your home isn't eligible. Now, you get the framework for the bill. Now the time is to really get to work with them and start asking questions. Find out how they are going to be using the system in the future. We're looking back over 12 months. What about the future? We've been in an 18 to 2-year, just completely different environment. What is going to be different getting into 2022, 2023? Ask those questions. Have them speak to you. Listen, right? You speak, they listen. You speak, then you listen. And highlight to the customer that, maybe they're going to be using power in ways that they didn't consider, right? You've got a lot of things that are happening. I like to find out, how long have you lived here? I'm going to come back to that in a minute. It's an important factor. Are you planning on moving? Now, these questions are going to help set you up for, during the presentation, what things you're going to cover, maybe a little bit more intense than another. And the moving one is a big one because you want to get into the value, right? You want to get at the 3 studies. You want to get through the Berkeley Lab study. You want to get through the NREL study. You want to get to Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, and be able to show them, here's what they say, not what Charles says, not what you say. Here's what they say, third-party validation. And you can do that when you get into, say, I'm planning on moving in probably the next 5 years. Absolutely make sure you educate them on why they should do it. Are there going to be any kids moving in or out? Anybody leaving the home? Are you planning on doing any remodeling, getting a new heating, new air conditioning? Things that are going to change your usage, either up it or bring it down because you've got more efficient. Do you plan on buying an electric vehicle? Look, folks, the reality is this. In the next 5 to 7 years, you're going to see the greatest shift to adoption of electric vehicles that we've ever seen, because every manufacturer is already moving that direction. That's going to pose 2 big problems. 1, the grid. 2, the homeowner can produce kilowatt hours for much, much less than if they go someplace else and buy it. The last time I looked was charging 28 cents a kilowatt hour at a charging station, where at home you can do it for anywhere from 6 to 10 cents per kilowatt hour. So build that in if there's plans in doing that in the next year. Absolutely, you want to take that into consideration. And do you want to use more power? A lot of times people don't tell you that, but if you don't ask, hey, your lifestyle, is it where you are comfortable? Do you want to have the ability to turn the thermostat up a little bit? Do you want to have the ability to use more energy? Maybe get a second refrigerator. You want to get them thinking and giving you feedback that helps you do it. And along these lines, sometimes this gets into you're looking at production of a system as we get into the proposals, sometimes we miss something, and it's called panel degradation. And I build it into my conversation. I'll say, these solar panels that I'm presenting, they degrade by about 0.5% per year. So over a 25-year period of time, you're still going to get about 87% of the energy. But here's the thing. That shouldn't concern you. And if it does, I'll just add more panels now. But it shouldn't concern you because the answers to your questions tell me you're going to be getting new windows. You're going to be getting a new air conditioner. You're going to be getting this. You're going to be getting that. That's going to reduce your usage because those items are getting more and more efficient. So the whole purpose of this data collection is to give the homeowner the best solution for them, and they will feel that. They will know that. Now, what you really want to do, the things to collect, a clean, clear copy of an electric bill. I can't tell you how many times I see a crumpled up electric bill, or I see just a graph, or I see just what they're paying, and people maybe new to the business think, well, all I need to know is how much they're paying. No. We need to know exactly what the usage is because that's going to determine the system size. Homeowner says to you, well, how much is it going to cost? That's a great question, right? I said that earlier. The best way for me to do that is to look at how many kilowatt hours you use on a monthly basis and an annual basis. Do you happen to know that? Most never even consider that. They're just paying the bill. Okay, well, I'll get back to why I asked that, and then that will help determine the system size, which will then let us know the cost of the system. And then what I need to also look at is your kilowatt hour rate, because the kilowatt hour rate is going to determine the overall savings for your system. You want to know how much you're going to save, right? Yes, I do. Great. For those purposes, what I need is a copy of an electric bill. And that's going to help me be able to determine the size, to determine your savings, and also I'm going to look at your roof. I'm going to look at the things that make it eligible. And the other real reason you want this is we can't get our M1 without having that electric bill. There are extenuating circumstances where it's a brand new homeowner and we wait a little bit longer, we can get it, but 90+% of our deals are done with a homeowner who's been in their home for a number of months or years. Now, what I love to do is once you get into their cost of energy, is I asked the question earlier, how long have you lived in the home? I'm going to put my calculator out. I'm going to take my phone out and I'm going to say, you pay $200 a month. And we're going to look at this over a period of time. So in the next 25 years, I'm going to multiply this. Or if they've lived there 10 years, you can use that number. 10 years times 12 months times $200 and hold that number up. Here's how much you have paid to rent energy from the monopolized utility grid who controls the pricing. Do you control that pricing? No. You've seen the rate increases over the years. Do you get a return on investment for all that money that they're making off of raising the energy prices for you? No. So you want to be able to build that and kill the value. So it's critical to know. And if you're not sure, new people, if you're not sure how to do that, it's a real simple equation. Look at the blue and the orange tabs. What you want to do is you want to find out how many kilowatt hours that they consumed on that month, because you're going to give them their data. You're using their data. And then you determine the total amount paid, including taxes, including fees, delivery charges, etc. The total amount paid, because oftentimes people only look at what they think is the generation. They think they're paying X. Then you divide the kilowatt hours, the amount rather, by the kilowatt hours. In this particular case, 102 divided by, I think it's 376. I'm not looking at the calculator. And you can see that that gives you the actual rate. That is really one of the keys to education with the homeowners. Then I encourage you to collect other pictures. Paul's going to do a deeper dive. You're becoming the trusted advisor. Get pictures of the electric panel. Get pictures of the sub panels. Get pictures of the attic entry. Just take that time. If you're not in the home, anyone who is there with you, if you're mentoring, you should be working with them to do that. And sometimes I have the homeowner do it. The other things to collect, pictures of any obstructions. I showed you that picture with just the fireplace of how much that is affecting the performance on the roof. And then information, anything that has to do with the home, where the panels are going to be laid, where everything's going to go, information on the health of the roof. Those are critical factors to what you collect in setting yourself up for success. And then when you set expectations, I plead with you to undercommit and over-deliver. Set a time frame that's way conservative, and that's going to help the homeowner not be disappointed, because that's one of the biggest things we do is that we set ourselves up for failure. And then warm down the sale, stay out of the way. I don't get engaged in a project post-contract except to congratulate the homeowner when the install has been scheduled, congratulate when it's done, and pick up referrals. I step out of the way, trust the process, treat our project management team with respect. They work with us. We're a team. We're one company. Just get out of the way and let them do their job. That, ladies and gentlemen, will set you up for success.